Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans. Guess what? We took a little week off, recharged the batteries, but we're back. We're back, and I think we're better than ever. We've got a new plan, new direction. Actually, it's just to keep doing what we're doing and just keep doing it better. But this is Joe in the pilot seat. Welcome to episode 101 of Rule the Galaxy. I will say thank you to everyone who watched a few weeks ago, who listened. We actually broke records on our YouTube channel and on our podcast of downloads and views and listens. So thank you so very much for that. Always follow us on Twitter, Rule the Galaxy SW, rulethegalaxysw at gmail.com, and just Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube because you know what? It's kind of entertaining. But enough of me. Joe, I'm always here and I'm the boring guy. Let's go around the horn and introduce. Dave will be hopping on in here in a minute. Alfie, how are you, sir? Welcome back.
It's good to be back, man. I'm excited to get started on another 100 episodes.
As am I, my friend. Let's see where this thing goes. Nick, you were at a concert this last week, all that fun stuff. How are you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back on. I feel like the 100th episode felt like a long time ago, but I have not stopped thinking about it since we did it. And just like I have a guy that he goes to our church and he's our chiropractor, and I was telling him about it and just talking about, I think we almost pulled on every guest that like we've ever had. And it was essentially the Rule the Galaxy version of the Avengers assembling, which Dave will jump on, but that video so properly, it felt like summed up how I felt during it. It was awesome.
It was. And his video to encapsulate it afterwards was awesome as well. So Dave will hop on in a minute. He was having some technical difficulties. Missing a few of our regular hosts tonight. Mass still not here. He'll be hop back on soon enough. Brent had some conflicts, and I know on Twitter I had told everybody that Mark Anthony Austin, who's the Boba Fett from the New Hope special edition, he was supposed to be on. Mark had some family issues that came up just last minute. He had to fly somewhere for some family things, none of our business to share and all that kind of stuff, but he'll be back in a few weeks and we're going to have him on the show. Then I will say, besides Nick and Alfie, Dave, D-Doc, when he hops on here, that'll be our regular crew. And then in a little while, we're going to have Michael Szabo, or on Twitter at Zabologist. He'll be on from the It's True All of It podcast in Australia. And he's just, we're just going to have some fun conversations. But really, we wanted to hit on Star Wars visions because I think it was across the board. We all enjoyed those. Even Alfie, who said, Star Wars, Disney keeps ruining Star Wars, but that's another story for another time. So I want to talk about that. There were a few little news items, but nothing that, mind shattering or anything like that. So anything you guys want to hit before we hit on a few things, or any Star Wars things that were on your mind before we start hitting some of the topics and talking about visions? Go ahead, Alfie.
Read quite a few places today that Andor wrap shooting.
Really?
Yes.
Brent will be happy about that.
And that we should expect a lot of familiar faces.
Wow.
In this series.
Help the lay people here. When I say lay people, I'm referring to myself. When does Andor supposed to come out?
I don't think we've been told.
Oh, we've not been told. Okay, good. I thought maybe I missed it, and I was so happy that we got new Star Wars this week. It was like, I'm so giddy to talk about Visions because it finally felt like, oh, we have something new to not just consume, but something to talk about and like rewatch and marinate. And it got me thinking. I can't remember when they said Kenobi was coming out, and I can't remember when Andor's coming out. And by the way you're shaking your head, it makes me think they haven't told us either one of those. So come on, Kathleen.
The only one that I think we're all aware of and know for sure is Book of Boba Fett is December.
Okay.
And that's 6 to 8 episodes. Is that right, Alfie? Does that sound about right?
I think so.
And I've
68 episodes.
No, 6
to 8
to 8. I know I have a speech impediment, but no,
I'm giving you a hard time.
But yeah, so it's going to be 6 to 8 episodes starting in December, and then I know we've got Kenobi, Andor, and Mandalorian season 3 that will all be out next year. Bad Batch season 2 will be out next year. So I mean, we're going to be, it's going to be plentiful. So it's exciting because it gives us, just like Visions did, it gives us something new to talk about. I think real quick, I will refresh and say, after 100, I really started writing. After episode 100, I really started writing down notes. What do I want to see? What do I want to do? And I know I text all you guys. What do you want to see? I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I don't want to make the next 100 episodes just, wash and rinse and repeat for what we did on the first 100. So I think we've all put in some good ideas. We're going to have plenty to talk about with the Disney series, but I think we're going to do some character deep dives. Hey, D-Doc's here with us, and while he's here, we're going to let him test out his equipment and see how he sounds. Dave, how you doing?
I'm good. Am I choppy still?
Perfect.
Great.
You sound great.
I'm good.
Yes.
Just like we drew it up, Dave.
That is 100%. So we see we had
I actually went and recorded myself saying hello to myself just to see if the headset was working. So I don't know. The cat definitely bit it though. I can see a little wire exposed on it. So
Dang on that cat.
man.
Hey, nothing like a little black electrical tape won't seal that
Yes.
thing up right there.
Yeah.
So hey, I introduced everybody else. Glad to have you back. We were just talking about how we're starting to build that plan for episode 101 tonight to 200 and where we're going to go. And I think for the listeners, we will obviously follow up with the news of the week of what's going on with the new shows and all that. But I think we talked about it, and Brent brought up some good ideas and sent them to me. And I think character deep dives are something I really want to get into. I want to say, take a character, whether it's your favorite or maybe whether it's that niche character or whatever, and let's just go real, let's go pull up Wikipedia and every book we've got, and let's go spend an hour and dig into every part of that character and find something or a planet or something like that. I think that would be fun. Some what if situations, just some different things that I think we need to look deeper into it. Somebody, Willie Harm said, looking deeper into the Force and how, different things about the Force that we just kind of gloss over and everything like that. So I think we're really going to try to add more of that into the show instead of it just be us rehashing show after show, week after week, and doing some new different things and trying to give the listeners some new fun things to do. So I also am really concentrating on guests for the next 100 shows. I've got a list. I've already got a ton of people who've said yes. I'm not going to lie. I'm pulling on Joey. A lot of professional athletes that he has met through Barstool love Star Wars. So I'm going to go to him, and it might be pulling teeth, but I'm going to say, hey, George Kittle from the 49ers. Hey, Christian McCaffrey from the Carolina Panthers. They love Star Wars. Ian Happ from the Cubs. Give us 15 minutes. Let us just, who are your favorites? What do you like? We're going to try, folks. It's on the agenda. I'm going to twist Joey's arm, even though he's a little bigger and stronger than me. And I'm going to pull some of that off somewhere, even if it's him interviewing them and bringing the interview over to our show. That's going to be a plan that we're going to do, because I think it shows that it's not a bunch of just 50-year-old nerds like me doing this, that there's other people out there who are cool and, with it, who are hip, the bussin' and lit individuals of today. So, but that's enough of that spiel. Let's throw this out there. This is something that came up while we took our break. November 12th, Disney Plus. They're going to do some Star Wars special look-ins and things like that. I'm hearing Boba Fett. Guys, you want to expand on that? Do you know any more? Have you read any more, seen any more on this Disney Plus November 12th kind of thing? I see Alfie nodding his head. Go ahead and lead our way, Alfie.
Give me just Disney Plus Day on November 12th will feature a special celebrating the origins and legacy of Star Wars legendary bounty hunter Boba Fett.
Wow.
That's from Disney.
Okay.
Man, that's awesome. They didn't give any more than that, did they? That was
No.
like the extent of so we're
Was
going to go into
extent.
the backstory okay. All right.
Would you guys agree that it feels like the second half of 2021 and the beginning half of 2022 are the year of Boba Fett for Disney?
Without a doubt.
I mean, you're right, Nick. I see you doing the money symbols. First of all, they're going to release his cartoon version of him from the Droids cartoon and from the Star Wars Holiday Special. They're going to make those in 3 3/4 or 6 inch. I can't remember.
Both.
Okay. So there's a money maker right there. Everybody's going to spend their money if we ever see them.
3 3/4 pre-order lasted minutes.
Okay.
The 6 inch sold out within an hour.
Wow.
And I was busy at work. I missed it. So
Yeah, I luckily got one of the 6 inch.
There you go.
That's
So you,
amazing.
It's like the time by the time you see it, you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool. It's gone. Like
100%.
Can I ask a dumb question? Is George Lucas still holding on to those merchandising rights? So like every time they make something, or because he sold Lucasfilm, does it not carry over anymore?
There's a lot of red tape that you really have to read into.
Okay.
And that's specifically why, everyone always asks about the original trilogy, why it hasn't been released on Blu-ray, as far as being the untouched non-special editions. I'm going to butcher it, so, don't hold it against me, but there's some language that like 20th Century Fox owns the distribution
Oh,
of
wow.
those
Of the unaltered, unedited version.
for so many years.
Okay.
So any release would have to be done in conjunction with Disney 20th Century Fox.
I see.
So as far as merchandising, I'm sure that gets pretty murky on who gets what.
I just had this mental image of like George Lucas sitting in his basement, like watching this like go in like 25 minutes and just like haha, like like laughing whatever he does.
It's really weird. And I've talked to Steve Dawson and a few other collector people, Lucas Butler from Chewy's Cantina. It's a whole different setup behind the scenes. Like you feel like, Alfie, we've talked about it. Hey, we're going to put something out there, pre-order it. Guess what? It's actually been pre-ordered months ago. All they're doing is releasing what they pre-ordered. And so you think, hey, just make what we order. That's not how they do it. And it's a weird setup.
They've basically already made them before they pre-order them.
Correct.
Wow.
So it's a weird thing. It's frustrating. But I'm not going to go down that toy rabbit hole. We've done it too many times, and I don't want to get angry. So we're looking forward to November 12th. But before we get to November 12th, guys, the Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, October 1st, Disney Plus. I know we're all adult men. I know we shouldn't be watching Lego Star Wars stuff, but I have a feeling we're going to be watching it. I know Alfie's kids will want to see it.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, I'm sure your kids will want to see it. What are you guys thinking? I mean, the holiday specials are fun. It's got to be fun with the Halloween one too, right?
The Lego specials have been, I've been watching Lego Star Wars specials for like 20 some years now, and they're always enjoyable.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you said the thing of like, we're all grown men. Should we be watching Lego Star Wars? I would argue that like once you go down the rabbit trail, it knows no, like, why would we get shameful now? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we're all,
true.
Come on.
Very true.
I thought the Christmas one that they did, the holiday special, was so good and so entertaining that I'm excited for. I just feel like the humor is actually really good. Like, it's not just like, hey, we're gonna, do a bunch of weird Lego stuff, but it's like, I feel like they're very well written.
Yeah.
It's good because they do a fan service to it as well, like where it will be a kids show, but they'll also do like small little shout outs where you're like noticing stuff from like old Star Wars where you're just like, all right, I see what you're doing there. Like, it's good. I'm excited for it, being a Lego guy myself. So
yeah, you are a Lego guy, that's for sure. I saw some of those Legos in Pittsburgh. The ones you've got, I said I can't dip my toe into that water. That's some pricey stuff right there. Go ahead, Alfie.
There's a really good one to check out. I'll have to look up the name, but takes place like right before Revenge of the Sith with a Padawan named Ian. And I won't spoil it for you.
Yeah, send that over.
Send the links to us. I mean, heck, I'll watch any of them. I know they have a lot of the Lego things on Disney Plus right now, but I don't know if they have all of them. I know they've got a lot, but I haven't jumped into them except for the holiday, kind of special thing.
Oh yeah, well, they've been on for a long time. They're enjoyable little shows. Kids love them.
Have you guys seen the Lego Star Wars Advent calendar that they make?
Yes,
that thing is awesome.
Yeah,
I think I'm getting it this year. Every year I look at it, just like I need to get it. Like, so I think my little guy, he's 4 years old now. I think he's old enough to where me and him could open one each day and build it. So
I have a friend.
This is the year.
I have a friend that lives in Chicago, and he's like a 55-year-old man, and he loves it. And every year he gets his Star Wars Lego Advent calendar, and just like has a ball. It's like his favorite month of the year.
Hey, I will say this. I haven't checked this out at Target or Walmart before we hop on the Star Wars Visions. One last little thing. I guess the Halloween masks and costumes, the old 70s versions, plus some new variety, are out at both Target and Walmart.
Wow.
I think it would probably be pretty good before Halloween. If anybody wants to just go grab them, we can all show up and surprise ourselves like the week before Halloween, which mask we have on, because I can't see them being very expensive. I mean, they're just a little plastic with the rubber band thing, I think, on the back of them. But I say we all give it a try if you want. Go ahead, Alfie.
I've yet to find any of those.
And you've been looking?
I've been looking. And I just saw somebody yesterday post pictures of a Walmart, God knows where, but they were already on clearance.
The moon.
And we can't, we can't get them. People in Turkey are buying the Star Wars things on clearance. And here in the US, we have empty shelves.
Well, hey, Rule the Galaxy is international now. So if you're listening from Turkey, email us at rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com and
Agreed.
We'll hook you up and you can email our P.O. box that we don't have yet, but we will.
Hey, you can just send it to my house. I'll give out my address.
Yeah.
I don't even care. And I was talking to my brother Tony, who was just on the last show, and he is going to get me set up with Redbubble or Sticker Mule, and we are going to get some Star Wars Rule the Galaxy podcast. They'll match that. We'll get some stickers made up of that and start getting them out to people and listeners and guests and things like that, so they can have that out and about when they're out there talking their Star Wars thing. So, hey, we've got a guest coming on in like 20-25 minutes. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, and he can talk about this when he gets here too. But let's face it, the big thing that happened since our 100th episode was Star Wars Visions. As I've discussed, I've never been an anime guy. I think Voltron and Speed Racer were basically what I would call the anime that I've watched in the past. But I went through 1 through 9 on these. I watched them. I'm going to let you guys lead the way. We can talk about whichever one you want to talk about. I would say 7 out of the 9 I really, really enjoyed. 2, I was kind of like, okay, I could live without them, but still enjoyable. But it was good to just take some Star Wars in for fun and not have to worry about canon and not have to worry about where is this or what does this follow. It's just take it in and enjoy it. So I'm gonna, you know what? Have you guys all watched them? Have you watched everybody here? Yes.
Yep.
Dave, I'm just gonna throw curveballs here. Is there one that stood out to you we can start with and talk about, and we'll just zoom through them here a little bit?
All right. What I thought stuck out to me the most, which is super random, is I enjoyed the TOB one one a lot. Like, okay. I don't know why. Which I know that the animation in the duel was absolutely incredible. So I won't steal that away. I'll talk about TOB1. I just thought it was cool because you had a droid that wanted to be a Jedi where it's funny because I actually saw it on Twitter today, but I was looking at like, is this really a kid who was turned into a droid or like, I don't know. There was a lot of questions I had about that watching it, but to see him fight that guy and have, the builder of him be a Jedi.
Right.
I just thought it was really cool. I thought the Sith that showed up was awesome. I thought the fight was pretty dark actually for how like happy and fuzzy everything started in it. Yeah. You got like droids fighting alongside with them. He gets his arm cut off and everything. It was pretty wild. I don't know. That was the first one I watched. I don't know why, but I started out of order.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I just went right in order. But no, I'll let you guys respond. But I felt a Pinocchio vibe, like a Geppetto Pinocchio feel to it. I liked the bubbliness of it, the rounded edges of everything kind of feel. And I also, like you said, the Inquisitor / Sith of it. I really enjoyed that character. And there was a scene where I feel like they were in space talking together, kind of how Yoda talked to Kanan and Ezra in Rebels. Am I right? That's a note I wrote down, but I feel like there was a scene that it reminded me of that. But I really enjoyed it. Nick and Alfie following up on Toby 1 or TOB 1 or whatever it was.
Yeah, you know what? Out of all of them, I'm with you, Joe. There are a couple that I really Really enjoyed some that were like middle of the road for me, and a couple that I was just like, no, not really my thing. I feel like if I had to rank that one was probably middle of the road. And one of the reasons why I actually really like it though is I felt like, I know it's not canon. For me, I like every time I watched one of these, I was trying to like piece together like, okay, where is this taking place? Like where, like I know that you're not supposed to do that. Like you just take it for what it is, but like I couldn't help myself. I'm watching it going, okay, where does this take place? And again, Jedi on the run, right? Hiding from Inquisitors. I love it that they tied it in, you know, kind of with that. So that, and one of the other things that I liked throughout, and they hit on a bunch of the different ones, but specifically within that one too, if I'm not mistaken, was how many times they referenced kyber crystals throughout like the entirety of the Vision series. And I thought they did a really good job of explaining, you know, here's how you build your lightsaber. I do have beef with the fact that it's like, okay, just because you can make a lightsaber doesn't mean that you're, you know, like proficient with one. But that was kind of rampant throughout the entire series. So I'll take it for what it is. I thought it was fun. And I do think the music in that one in particular was really good as well too.
Okay. Alfie, any thoughts on that episode?
Yeah, I liked that episode. Reminded me of a lot of anime I've watched. I, like you said, I like the roundness of it. I like the kind of Astro Boy look to it.
Astro Boy. You know, yes, that's what I was looking for. I'd seen different things of him before. I didn't know what it was until somebody mentioned it. But yes, it reminded me of that.
Overall, you know, and especially with this episode, I really liked how there was a lot of Sith in this, you know, one Jedi versus one Sith kind of thing.
Yes.
Thought it made it interesting. Another thing I really liked in the series was how if different people picked up a lightsaber, the color changed.
Yeah, like in the Ninth Jedi. Yeah, we'll hit on that one. That one definitely was that way. That was very cool. Okay, so TOB1, I think, you know, it wasn't my favorite. I don't think it was. It might have been Dave's favorite. It was not me and Nick's favorite, but we enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good show.
Can
Alfie?
I point out on Alfie's comment that he made about that there were a lot of Sith in this? I actually like, I don't think I realized it through the first couple, but the further we got into it, it was like refreshing coming out of, we've talked about it on the show before, but like coming out of the sequels where it was like, you don't really have any true definitive Sith. And then you watch The Mandalorian and there's no Sith, and you like, I'm in it for the Jedi versus Sith. So the whole thing was just, you know, I loved of the 9 episodes that we got, maybe 7 of them had some sort of Jedi versus Sith involvement.
Yeah, that was definitely 7 out of 9, like you said. It definitely had that feel of we're focusing on Jedi, we're focusing on Sith, we're focusing on lightsabers. Yeah, I mean, it was right out there in front of you. So, Alfie, I'm going to go back to you on the next one you want to talk about. Anyone that stands out to you that you want to hit on out of the other 8?
I really like the I can't remember how you pronounce it, but the Lope and Oko episode.
La Pinocho.
Ocho, there you go.
La Pinocho, yes.
Yeah, I like
definitely one I want to talk about. Is there anything that stood out to you on that one?
I just really, I mean, I'm really nerding myself up here, but I just really liked the, you know, it was like real anime.
Yes, having a rabbit in there and a furry.
You know, the way they talked and, you know, the artwork, it looked like a legitimate Star Wars anime to me.
It did. I thought the Imperial officers were like really crisp in that and like looked kind of evil and scary. And I would say like out of all of the episodes, I felt like the fighting in that one was some of the most beautifully done animation out of all of it. I really enjoyed that one as well too. And when it first started, I was like, what the Lola Bunny running around, you know, fighting Sith, but I thought it was awesome.
Agreed. Dave, how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. And like what you're bringing up with the fighting is I kind of liked how it was, everything just seemed so all or nothing in a lot of these. Like you had a lot of beat down like rebels in it, basically, where it was just like if like Sith or Inquisitors or anybody showed up, like, you know, it was just it actually was some of them were pretty dark, I thought. You know, it was like the fighting was very real in them. Like that's what I felt, especially with that one.
I agree. So a couple things I had on that one. Of course, you know my affection for Jackson, the bunny from Marvel Comics.
Right.
So as soon as I saw La Pinocchio, I was like, daggone, I have to have that character. They got to make a character of that female rabbit because then I can have it sit next to Jackson on my stand. And I thought that was really cool. I loved how this story was about the family got put together. So you would think that the real daughter, the biological daughter, would have stayed close to the dad and followed his rules. And yet she was the one that broke off from the rules and went the opposite way, didn't like his old way of thinking. And Lop, because that's right? The bunny was Lop, right? Yeah. Okay. Lop, whichever one was the bunny.
You're right.
Okay. Was basically adopted, but formed that bond and stayed true to the father the whole time, right? And so I thought that was a really cool story. I thought, adopting her, bringing her into the family, then seeing the other sister turn and go against them. I thought there was a lot of good things in there, like the Empire coming and taking over their planet and using all the natural resources and all those things, and how she was saying, look, they're giving us jobs and they're building structure. Gosh, that sounds like a lot of other stories we're hearing about, right? Like, wasn't that in Bad Batch they were doing that, and in Rebels it was doing that. So I mean, you're getting a similar story to that. So I thought that was really good. The characters were great. So that was one that was high on my list. Go ahead, Nick.
I also felt like this could be an overall Visions thing, but like one of the things I was most impressed with was how good the stories were for how short. Like that's quite an art to be able to tell a story like that in 15 minutes. And you have, you think about it, all this building action plus all this backstory that they're casual. Like I felt like most of them did a really good job of telling you the backstory without going, here's the backstory. Like you could fill in some gaps and take some leaps, but then you get into the actual story. And what I liked about this one in particular was it didn't tie up nice.
No, it didn't. So one of the things that I read on Twitter was, one, they drop you right in the middle of things, like you said, which is great because that's really what they did in Star Wars. We get dropped into a space battle, which we have no idea what's going on, who's good, who's bad, anything, right? And then I think these shows also tend to lead themselves to where a lot of them, you're going, hey, what's the next chapter of this? Give me another 15 minutes. What's the next step of this thing here, right? So that's where it left me. Alfie and Dave have both given me one. Nick, give me one that stood out to you that we can hit on.
Well, and real quick before I do that, you said something. There were a couple of these that I was texting with Sam, who does Clone Wars Chronicles, which we need to get back into. So forgive me for that. But texting with Sam, and there were 2 or 3 of these where I was like, I want an 8-episode mini series on just like a couple of. One of them for me was The Elder, where it's the master and the Padawan, and they're flying through space, and all of a sudden they feel this, connection to something evil. To me, that was like quintessential Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon from the comic book series, like prior to like that 10-year window between Phantom Menace and Clone Wars, where it's like, we're just out on missions doing stuff, trying to defend evil. And what I loved was that Sith presence that just shows up, that's like crazy talented, and then just like veils itself and disappears. I was like, ooh, I want to see more of that. Like, I think that was like, I want them to go investigate somehow and figure out, and I get it. Like you can't because he's untraceable, but that was interesting to me.
Yeah. Dave or Alfie, what are some of your thoughts on The Elder? Because I mean, I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of that one. That was a good episode. I really liked the Padawan and the Master interaction. Him being able to track him through the Force, feeling what his Padawan is doing. And it just had that like samurai kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
I actually saw a decent amount of Twitter theories talking about, what if this is Qui-Gon and Anakin, like if they actually got a chance to be together and for Qui-Gon to train him as he got older. Like, I don't know. I saw a lot of people referencing that on Twitter. I was like, that's pretty interesting. Never really thought about that, actually.
I mean, when we do a future what if show, not to follow along with Star Wars Infinities, but just make up our own, I think that's a really good one to add into the mixer. That would be a good one. What if Qui-Gon did, hey, Darth Vader named Azalea is part of the show now. Hi, Azalea. She looks great in her Darth Vader mask. But Dave, that's a great point. I mean, man, that would have been a great storyline to follow and a great what if and a good way to show it. So, a couple things on this one. That voice of the master was Hopper from Stranger Things. Hopper, the sheriff from Stranger Things, was the master in the Master Padawan. And I heard him talking. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what? And I was like, dang, that's Hopper. I thought that was really well played. He didn't play it like Hopper. He played it like a subdued Jedi master. And then we all want it. We knew that Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, where he was just insane. I want to kill things, insane. I want to attack things. This old dude was the same way. It was like, I'm not doing this for any other reason except I'm just a Sith and I just want to attack Jedi, right? I just want to fight. Yeah. I want to find the next Jedi who can take me down.
Yeah, I liked when he said, I finally have a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he said something along the lines of, if only I'd met you when I was younger.
Right. Which I thought was so cool because it just, again, little things that help you paint a story without having to actually show the story, right? I thought that was really sweet. It had a little almost like a horror film vibe to it.
It did.
Almost like you could sense this impending, no, don't split up. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
No, don't go by yourself. Don't take the kids up in the mountains. It was very cool.
I agree 100%. I'm going to go in a different way because I had two that really stood out as my favorites. But before we even talk about those, and again, Michael Szabo, the zoologist, will be on with us in a few, and he can jump into the mix of this as we talk about them. But the one that didn't hit me the right way, the one that I enjoyed it, but it didn't connect with me, was Akakiri, the number 9 of the group. Where it was, I've never seen the Kurosawa movie that everybody talks about as so much Star Wars. But this episode where he loved the girl and he came back to try to save her, and then he kills her by accident because the Sith mixed her into the people that he was fighting. Beautifully done. Good visuals. I didn't care for the storyline until the very end, where he had to go dark with the Sith to save her life and bring her back to life. And by doing that, he then had to go be her apprentice. That was his payment for bringing the person he loved back to life. That's the only part that I stopped. I was like, whoa, that's a serious story. But before that, I was just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's cool, but it's not one that sit with me. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Was I way off on that, or was it one that you liked more than others?
Yeah, that one didn't really grab my attention.
Yeah, there were little parts that I liked about it. Surprisingly, the B-wing crashing at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I thought was so again, being thrown right into the middle of it. You're just like, what is happening? That's really cool. And again, I did like that this was a different genre of Star Wars to go. It felt very I'm glad you referenced the Kurosawa movie. It felt very Japanese, and it felt very we're painting this story of this warlord. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was good. It doesn't, I think there were other ones that were better than it, but I still thought it was interesting.
Dave, how about you?
That actually is probably the only one that I was watching late at night and fell asleep, and I didn't finish that whole one. So I need to watch it still. So,
okay. Well, then I
was grinding. I was grinding late on these. No, but yeah. One point I wanted to make just because recently a lot of people have always talked about Studio Ghibli. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a lot of their anime, which is on HBO, and people have hyped their movies for so long, all these different anime movies, where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot and see what I like about it. Where I've watched 3 or 4 of these full-length movies. And what I find similar to Visions with those movies is it's you start it off and you're like, okay, I'll give this a shot. You're sitting there and you're watching it in the beginning. You're like, okay. And it has a way of drawing you in as it goes on. Because you're like, here I am watching a cartoon. But then once you start to connect with it and it starts rolling, you're just like, damn, this is awesome. Like I felt that's what each episode of Visions was like. Even with Tatooine Rhapsody, when that one started, I was like,
Go ahead and
there's
hit
no
that
way
one.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna like
go ahead.
this.
Go ahead. Yeah, good. Keep going deeper into
Yeah.
that one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I felt the
I'm
same way,
sorry I'm
Dave.
rambling, but it started, I'm like, no way I'm going to like this. And it's going, and it's like, all right, this is pretty cool. And it keeps going. It's like, starts getting emotional, stuff starts happening. It's like, it just has a way of drawing you in slowly, even though in the beginning it might not seem like you might not like it. It pulls you in.
I'll let you guys talk about it, but just some quick points on it. The Jedi who stopped being a Jedi and became the lead singer, that was Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I'm going to beg every day on Twitter to come on our show. The drum guy who had like 3 bodies doing the drums was friend of the show, Mark Thompson. He did the voice of the drummer.
Yeah,
and then I think it was Bobby Moynihan did the voice of the Hutt. So a good cast right there. Let's face it, we get to see Boba Fett, Jabba the Hutt, Boonta Eve Race. I mean, a lot of things to bring you into that one, and it was a different story, right? Like that's one of the ones that wasn't Jedi versus Sith. Yep. It was a fallen Jedi who it looks like probably got away right at the end of Order 66 and put his lightsaber away. From
exactly what it looked like.
So Dave, you started this one, Alfie or Nick. And by the way, if Zabalogist shows up, we'll bring him in and introduce him in a minute. But Alfie and Nick, any thoughts on Tatooine Rhapsody? I will say this: I really enjoyed that one. By the way,
I would say same. And honestly, I was with Dave when I first started it. I was like, "Oh no, what are we getting into here? What are we doing?" And there were so many things that won me over for it. The Boba Fett, announcement where you see him and he has the, I did see somebody on Twitter that took a still shot from the Robert Rodriguez episode of The Mandalorian and a still shot from this and like put them together. And I thought that was pretty cool. So that was one of them. The other one was, Nick from his punk rock phase loved it because I thought it was, just fun. I thought the music was actually pretty good. And the last one I'll say on this episode, and then I'll stop talking. I felt like this episode did a really good job. What all the episodes did where Lucas Film and Sound known for having really great like sound effects, memorable things that when you hear, you're like, that's Star Wars. And I felt like Jabba specifically, like I felt like it was like they had taken Return of the Jedi Jabba and like voiced that over the top, like almost used. I would be curious, like, did they use pre-recorded stuff? I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. No, I like that. Alfie, your thoughts on Tatooine Rhapsody?
That was one that once it started, I really did not want to watch. And I gotta say, it drew me in. It would ended up being a pretty good episode. I liked it. It was fun. But like Dave said, that's what anime does. You watch an anime and sometimes, they're so silly at the beginning and you just kind of half watch it. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, when did this start getting good? So.
No, that's cool. And the Zabologist has joined us. I'll see if he's going to hop on here in a second as we're just in midstream of the show. And while he's getting geared up, I will say this too. One thing I forgot to bring up, I'm going backwards here on Lop. I don't know if you guys noticed when she put her glasses on, there was a carrot on the side of her glasses. Thought that was hilarious that they put a little carrot on the side of her glasses. And then for the Jedi who was the singer, he was using his lightsaber as a microphone. Did you guys notice that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It took me a few. I went back and I was like, wait a minute. And I thought, how cool that he no longer was, using it that way, but using it in that other way. Go ahead, Dave.
I gotta say, one of the funniest parts was when like they actually started like rocking out and the crowd was getting into it and they went to put the overhang on them and they just like blew it off of the thing. It was hilarious.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Hey, Zabologist, are you with us right now?
Yes, I am. I just joined in.
Well,
so
hey.
Hello, everyone.
Hello from Australia. It's tomorrow morning there. We're talking to the future. Thank you for being a part of the show.
No worries. Thanks once again for having me on.
No problem. So I have had the pleasure of meeting you before and doing a show with you before. So I'll let you know the gentleman in the hooded sweatshirt is Nick. The gentleman with the
hello.
backwards hat is Dave. And the gentleman with the Boba Fett hat is Alfie. And this is Michael Szabo, the Zabologist from It's True, All of It. So for those of you who will watch this on YouTube, he's a guy who just hopped into the screen there with us. But for those of you listening and listening along, Michael just hopped in and is joining us. Here we all are in the United States, and it's Tuesday night, and Michael's already telling us what's going on tomorrow, Wednesday in Australia. So before we hop, we're talking visions. So, but before we do, just reintroduce yourself to everybody, who you are, what you guys do there, and then we'll wrap back into the visions talk here real quick.
Certainly. So I'm do a Star Wars podcast again. It's called It's True, All of It with Dale. We just basically, like all the other Star Wars podcasts, talk about Star Wars. We have a little bit of fun, putting a little funny ad in between that we make up. I write a song at the end, and I put the songs up on Spotify and Bandcamp and YouTube. Zabologist, such great lives. And yeah, we interview people, and currently, I don't know what it's going on like there, but in Melbourne, we've still got some more extra lockdowns. So it's a perfect time for me to do this sort of thing. And I'll be honest, I'm actually doing this again with somebody else from the United States tomorrow on Thursday and again on Saturday. Like, why not? This is the time. So there'll be episodes coming out in the next few months. So yeah, that's us.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, you guys, I started listening to you, gosh, a year plus ago.
Yeah.
And I knew because I had friends in Melbourne. I was like, oh, it sounds like I'm talking to, listening to old friends here. So I really enjoy your shows. And actually, I love your songs and your ads that you put in the middle of your shows. They're so entertaining. And it's lighthearted and silly and just fun with Star Wars. So if no one has listened to it on It's True, All of It, their podcast, they do, they do some great little songs. And like you said, you could just follow that on all those different places at Zabologist, right? SZ or Z, as you would say.
Yeah.
SZABOLOGIST. Go check it out, and you can hear some of his Star Wars songs that are really quite fun and entertaining. But before we hop back in, have you checked out Star Wars Visions yet? The show on Disney Plus.
Yes, I have. I've watched all the episodes. I've watched a few twice.
Okay.
And yeah, so there you go.
Well, no worries. Are you much into anime, or is it just something new because it's Star Wars?
No, I am. I've not a huge fan, but I've liked things over the years, and I think I can't remember the name of it, but there's one called I can't even remember the name. It was done in the 80s, but I remember Mark Hamill actually did a voice for one of the anime characters.
Really?
Gosh, you got me there. I'm going to have to look that up now. I reckon everyone's going to be frantically looking it up.
On your next 2 American episodes they're going to ask you about it. So be prepared. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, as we start in, because I know we're going to talk here and then we're going to record with you here in a little bit on your show. So we've talked about a few of the episodes. We talked about Tatooine Rhapsody, the TOB1, the Elder, La Pinocho, and Akakiri. You guys can correct me if I'm butchering that. Any of those stand out to you that really you liked out of that as we go and finish the rest of the episodes here once you're on here with us?
Yeah, now I've got to remember all the names. Should have taken note of that. To be honest, I can't. I think the 2 that I really liked, I think, it was episode 4 and 5, The Village and The Ninth Jedi. They were the 2 ones that really stuck out for me.
The Village, the others, Bride. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Start just briefly. Village Bride or Ninth Jedi. Tell us what stood out to you, what you liked about them, everything like that. We'll comment and chime in with you.
Sure. I guess I like The Village Bride when. There's one of the quotes I actually wrote down because I just thought it was quite powerful. We live in harmony and we will change together. So that's, coming to the resolve at the end of the episode. And just the guy with the helmet going there to just sort of check out the planet and get to know it. And he's studying it, and the Jedi coming back and her wonderful, amazing yellow thin blade lightsaber, kind of like a dark saber kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. And like, I suppose a bunch of bullies, look, the separatists are gone. Oh, let's use their power droids. Let's be bullied. And then they're getting, see you later, guys. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep, I agree. I really like that episode as well. It's definitely in my top 3 or 4. Nick, did you have any thoughts on the Village Bride?
I did. I thought, again, I said it for one of them, but the idea of like, you have a concrete, at least idea of where we're at timeline wise, which I like. I know it's not canon, but I like that. And outside of that too, I thought like I like it when I'm surprised by the voices of who does this. So like when you said Hopper in the last one, we'll talk about the twins at some point where I felt like it was like too obvious. This last one, I actually or Village Bride, I IMDb'd it because I was curious, like, wait a minute, I know that voice. Who is it? It's George Takei doing the voice of the head bandit throughout it. Which when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute, where have I heard that before? And I was like, oh, it's Sulu from Star Trek. Which I thought was awesome. But I said it once already too. The music on this episode in particular this was a middle of the road episode for me, and it's further towards a success in my mind because of the music and just visually, I thought it was beautiful.
Was this the one where they called the Force like the Majiri or Majira or something like that when they were putting their hands together on the mountain or something like that? Am I way off on that?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Alfie, I'll let you go on the Village Bride here since you hopped in on that. Thoughts on the Village Bride?
I liked it just for that reason about how did you say that word again? The Majiri, I think.
Yeah.
Because
I don't remember. I should have written it down.
It seemed like a very primitive use of the Force. People who maybe like the Night Sisters have a connection to the Force, but don't really know what it is they're doing. And then, it just followed the classic kind of anime format, the wandering warriors, the village in need of help. I liked it.
Yep. Dave, how about you?
Expanding on what Michael was talking about, the guy with the big helmet on, and not even talking about the episode basically is saying I loved how there was just so many different aspects of Star Wars costumes that they added into this. The lightsabers, the helmet he had on, like there was like throughout all of them. I'm just like, there's so much new Star Wars creativity that's out there. Like to see that is awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like you guys said with the Tatooine Rhapsody, when it first started and that young man was carrying the girl on his back, was it right? Up the side of the mountain or whatever. Yeah. I started watching this going, where are we going with this? What's going on here? I found that that's much more involved with that culture, and that's part of that. But I, obviously not watching anything like this before, I was sitting there going, am I missing something? But then I started catching on. Okay, I see what's going here, and it really turned. The ending of that I thought was very good. I thought it was a very good ending to all of it, and I ended up really liking that episode after having a start of like what's happening. So, I think that was a really great episode right there. You mentioned Michael, the Ninth Jedi. I would say that's probably my favorite. If you want to expand, Michael, and start us, what were your thoughts on the Ninth Jedi? I thought it had some great storylines, not only down on the ground with the saber maker, but also up in that thing in space with everybody. What are some of your thoughts on that episode?
Yeah, I guess it was one of the ones that just really stood out. Maybe that was something I was looking for in the anime as part of the stories and Jedi Sith. Look, I liked it for quite many reasons, but just to give you a few, the twist at the end, you were thinking they were all Jedi coming to be summoned, and that, is it Juro? I think I wrote it down. I'm just going by memory.
That's right.
Yeah. You think, oh, that's the Sith, and these are all Jedi or whatever. And then you only see the one guy getting his lightsaber that's going blue because he's Jedi. Then all the others are bled. But I love that how Juro's grabbed a red saber and then it turns green. Shows him's on the Jedi. The Jedi are actually slaughtering these Sith. I'm really don't know what part of the timeline it is. I really don't mind or care, because it was just sort of, could be far in the distant future or far in the distant past, but it's just showing that there is that rivalry between Jedi and Sith. And just the thing about, the other thing that I really, really loved about it was one of the guys, I thought you'd think he was Sith, but he was going towards his Sith side because he was feeling the power of the dark side or something like that, having the red saber, going against one of the other Jedis, and then the saber started turning purple.
Yeah.
So it was sort of like not bleeding anymore. And look, I could go into this a lot, but it made me think of number one, I think, I'm not sure, and look, I could be totally wrong, and everyone help me out here and correct me, and that's why we all talk about Star Wars. Number one, you got Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order, her going back to white lightsabers, so something to do with not a Jedi anymore, not sure. You got Asajj Ventress. If either of you have read Dark Disciple, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to say one thing.
Yeah, we've all read it. Yeah,
we've already spoiled it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, if you actually, sorry, just a side note, I think, as I said, because it's lockdown, I'm going crazy with a lot of friends from Star Wars podcasts from the USA. I'm going to be speaking with Conversations about Dark Disciple. So that's coming up soon. I'm not sure when. But yeah, anyway, Asajj Ventress's lightsaber is yellow apparently in that. And I'm wondering, it was red and then she's not Sith or something anymore, and it's starting to not bleed. And I don't know, there's some new ideas to throw out there. And I love the representation of color. Like, I'm very color orientated, and obviously the blade goes to the length of the person of the Jedi and the color. And then you can see the color coming in when her Jedi natural talents come out. And look, I'll just say a few more things because I loved it so much, but I won't say too much to give you guys a chance to say something. But I'll just say that I thought it was funny, those droids having that sort of cup of tea and like, oh, just get another driver and just all lazy and hurry up, and just little funny bits. And that reminds me of some anime that I have watched in the past here and there that I enjoy, like that style, that iconic sort of droid that's very anime style to me that I really loved. And he'd just go nice moves when they're all fighting. And just the other thing I loved was there was another good quote. While the Force exists in every living thing, only those individuals who develop their connection to the Force will have the power to wield it. So that's just, once again, strengthening the power of the Jedis and the wills of the Force and all that sort of thing, and how a Jedi comes about. So there you go.
I mean, everybody freaked out about the midichlorians in the prequels. Let's just face it. There was a big uproar about that. But basically it was saying that everyone has midichlorians in them. The count is different. The strength is different. There's all that connection for everybody. It's those who learn how to use or connect with that become Jedi. So they were kind of saying that, but in different ways in that quote you just said right there. I mean, it's just a better way to say it without using the word midichlorians in it, right? I mean, it's hey, we can all connect to it. It's just who chooses to or who advances to make that connection. So I love it. I love that point. Nick, Ninth Jedi, go right ahead.
And you know what? I love that you brought up the like the purple lightsaber. When I was watching that through, I had the same thought, and I thought it was interesting how they all started as red. And of course, when I see purple lightsaber, my mind immediately goes to Mace Windu, which when you get into those encyclopedias that you've been looking at, they go way into detail into like lightsaber form and talk about the form of Vapid that he creates that pushes the user like all the way to the edge of the dark side without falling into the dark side. But it's risky because you get so close to it. And that's like Mace Windu's like claim to fame, right? And so when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that's it. And you could see this like progression. I thought it was very cool with the representation to go like, well, I'm purple, but I'm very conflicted about what I actually believe. You know, like it's like almost like it's so it was smart of them to do it. And I don't know if I know Disney has talked now about like the bleeding of the kyber crystals. For me, I felt like this was a very subtle way. Like when I first heard about that, I was like, what? Come on. Like, what do we, you know, but then I felt like this did it in a way where it didn't, maybe I've grown accustomed to it now, but I also felt like it was well done and kind of a cool twist that I've not seen of like, when you take the lightsaber, it just takes on the color that you represent. because they
I
know.
get it. Dave, how about you on the Ninth Jedi? Any thoughts on that episode?
I actually wanted to comment on the Kyber because that's
Hit it.
actually just one of the notes that I have is I just wrote Kyber. Like, do you think Disney sent to all these directors of these episodes and like, do you think there's stuff coming in the future for maybe future live action or something where they're just like, we got to hammer home Kyber crystals for maybe people who don't know about them, who might watch Visions to like learn, like, you know, this is because, you know, they really never show in the movies, they never show a Jedi get Kyber crystal and craft a lightsaber. You know what I mean?
No, it's in
like
Clone
even
Wars. Yeah, Clone Wars and Rebels and things like that. They show it.
Rogue
Right?
One
yeah.
Rogue One.
was all about
Rogue
kyber
One,
crystals.
they brought Kyber in a lot, but it's like even in Jedi Fallen Order, like going to the video games. That's
right.
They really made that a big part of it too. Is like when you're Cal Kestis, like you have to go build your lightsaber, get your Kyber crystal. Like I feel like Disney's really focusing on that right
Like,
now, and I
they're
felt
kind
it
of
throughout.
leading you up to that Luke Skywalker Jedi Academy series that you read about every day on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or they're leading you up to go to Galaxy's Edge and buy a lightsaber. You know?
Or now you
Yeah.
can put your own Kyber crystal into the hilt, or I'm sure they're going to start selling Kyber crystal jewelry at some of those places right there, so you can
There you go.
choose your Kyber crystals on all those different things. Go ahead, Nick.
I did think, Dave, you bring up a good point, because when I think we got to like episode 6 or 7, and I was like, another Kyber crystal mentioned. Interesting. Like you just see it enough, you start thinking about it. I would be curious, particularly to Visions, because this is so anime, Japanese influence. Go back to the Lop and Ocho or Ochi, whatever episode. Brent brought it up. One of the things that he was looking forward to was when you open the box and you see this, it's like very samurai-esque. Because it's so samurai infused and there's so much sword play involved. I was curious of like, are all of these individual studios looking at this and going, man, wouldn't it be cool if we took like the source of the sword and made that kind of like a primary, like it's less about like the hilt and more about like the heart of what's in it. I thought that was very cool. You saw that, and we'll talk more about it when we talk about the duel, but like, I thought there were really cool moments where it was like, it's very like, this is the way of the samurai and we do the Kyber and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, but I think you bring up a good point of they're really hammering home the Kyber crystal.
They are. And I haven't watched the
incredible.
extras yet, which everybody said the extras go further into this. I need to do that. So Alfie, I know you made that one comment on Ninth Jedi. Did you have any other comments on that episode before we move on to the last two?
I really, and I said it before, and you guys have all said, I really liked the lightsaber changing color when people picked it up. I love the twist of you think they're Jedi and they turn out to be Sith. You know, I always wanted Kylo Ren's lightsaber to change in Rey's hand in The Last Jedi. And to see that in something non-canon, it was a nice little payoff.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been incredible.
I liked that this was another episode that you really wanted to see what happened next.
Yes.
And I'm a sucker for the crazy stuff in space. You know, that kind of lightsabery look of the base shining down onto the planet from space. I really like that. And the guy who was a Sith that you would think, is he, you know, like an undercover? Was he working undercover for that Jedi to kind of infiltrate them? That really gave me some vibes from the Knights of the Old Republic comic book series.
Oh, okay.
Alfie, there was lots of that in this episode that kind of felt like Knights of the Old Republic. Like even the base in space that they were in felt like the Star Forge.
Yeah.
Like from the Dr. Aphra comics where they like go back and I think that's the same thing. But the imagery of it, I saw it and I was like, wow, that looks very similar to like.
Well, just the storyline in Knights of the Old Republic about the two brothers, and the one tried to infiltrate the Sith, and he was warned, you know, that never works out because no matter how strong you are. And then to see this guy, you know, just clicked in me. Yeah, I remember that any longer, and he would have been a Sith.
Well, I think this was probably right up there as one of my top favorite ones on there. And I just think it was all done well. The entire thing. This is one that made me say, I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode they put together of these visions. If they do a part 2, the Ninth Jedi needs to be one that they make a sequel to. So the ones we have left are the twins and the duel. I'll just start off with the twins. This one definitely was different for me. I enjoyed it, but it got a little too, like, we joke about Leia being space Mary Poppins, but then we've got these two. I enjoyed having two Sith or dark side brother and sisters that they were raising as twins to have these special powers. I enjoyed that part of it. We got outside and getting that really anime fighting on top of ships out in space. That one I was like, okay, visually it's cool, but it didn't stick with me on that story. So Michael, Alfie, I'll go to you, and then to Michael. Alfie, go ahead on this one.
Just a quick point, yeah. But wasn't it hilarious that the only person who wore a spacesuit was the droid?
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
Yes, when he came out and saved or grabbed one of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's it. Michael, go ahead. What did you think of the twins?
Yeah, like you said, I enjoyed it visually, and I'm, not worried about, helmets off space and whatever, and it's just an anime thing and all elaborate, a little bit of cool visual
over the top
entertainment. I'm not sure as far as the story. I mean, we've had, Luke and Leia Jedi twins. I know they're dark side twins. I don't know. I just wasn't hungry to know if there was a sequel to this or what was going on, or it just sort of didn't draw me in. I have only watched it once, so maybe if I'd watch it a second or third time, I might appreciate it more, like I have with a few of the other episodes. But yeah, I don't know, not much more on that one from me.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same list. Visually cool, but it wasn't a story that drew either one of us really in. Dave, I'll go to you next on the twins.
I thought the Star Destroyers looked pretty cool when they were cruising next to each other.
Yeah.
Like, I like the visuals on that. But when she inserted the kyber crystal into her chest, I was just like, all right, this is getting a little like out of control. Didn't she stick it into her chest at one point?
Yeah, right.
Like into her armor.
Yeah, and
then
she had like multiple like arms and like lightsaber whips like coming out of her. I mean, it was different. Don't get me wrong. I watched it. I was like, this is wild. But yeah, and he, like, his lightsaber got huge. He's like going on the X-wing. Like it got wild.
Cutting a Star Destroyer in half with a lightsaber.
He pulled the holdo maneuver with a lightsaber.
Yeah, right. Which I'm glad you brought that up, because even some of the shots looked very similar to Last Jedi where that happens. I feel like this was the most, for lack of a better term, like kiddie episode out of them. Like, and I say that, like, it was dark in places, but like I felt like maybe it was animation style, maybe it was story, maybe it was Neil Patrick Harris as one of the twins. But for me, I had a hard time with this one, because I was just sitting watching it going like, okay, maybe it's the animation. Like, I felt like I was watching, if you ever remember that show, Dexter's Laboratory. Like, I kind of felt like I was watching an episode of that.
Wow.
Like, it's a little out there, and like he's, the story, like, reality doesn't matter at all, which is, it's not bad. It felt like such a departure though from the other ones where you're like, oh, this feels like Star Wars, and this felt like Speed Racer in.
Good point.
I don't know. It just felt different. Not bad, different.
Okay, it hit different, right?
Yeah.
Alfie.
This was honestly probably my least favorite of the series. It just, like Nick said, it just didn't feel right. I could let a lot of it go, but visually it was very impressive. Story-wise, it didn't grab me.
Okay. All right. Well, so this one sounds like across the board was on the lower half, lower, rung of what we looked at. But I'll tell you what, they started us off with the duel. They're coming out with the novel about Ronan from the duel, which I think I might want to read now, because this was a daggone good episode, I felt like. Nick, I'll start with you, then Michael will go to you. The duel. I mean, I thought it was a banger of a start for these. So go ahead.
And I think it was so smart for them to start with this one, because the expectation level for anybody that's not an anime fan was probably pretty high coming into it. And I'll tell you, I thought story was really good. I thought the twist where they, you know, oh, so you're a Jedi, I'm not a Jedi. Like very, very cool how they pulled that off. And this to me felt like I was watching like I was watching almost kind of like I was watching a Tarantino movie almost, you know, like where it's like kind of like the Kill Bill in the sense where like it feels a little spaghetti Western, but it's not because it's samurai. I don't know. I thought it was my favorite of all of them and a great way to kick this series off. And no wonder they're coming out with the book. I felt like it was the strongest of, or the graphic novel or whatever it's going to be. I felt like it was the strongest of them all.
Well, before we go to Michael next, I will say this. I'm going to steal this because I know you guys probably saw it. You guys saw the original Star Wars poster in the back of them when they were in the middle of that village, right? It was on the building behind them all.
No.
The original one, like they used it,
missed it.
was it Man's Chinese Theater or something like that? That original poster. Go back and check that out because I'm sitting there and I'm going, is that? And sure enough, it is back there. And I've heard other people talk about it since.
It's also in the Twins episode.
Was it?
Really?
I didn't see that
One
one.
of the panels of the Star Destroyer when they're fighting each other behind them.
Nice. Okay. See, we're picking up little things here. I bet you if we watch them 2 or 3 times, all of them, we'll find all these little things. Michael, your thoughts on the duel, the one that started it all off?
Yeah, it was definitely a good one to start off, and then I'm watching it going, okay, so this is what we're up for, this is what's happening. And I think I was just trying to take it all in and understanding that, okay, this is a new format, this is Visions, it's going to be 10-15 minutes long or whatever, so you're not going to get much of a full picture story. And I sort of know the style of anime, how they do stories. So I think I really need to watch it a second or third time to really try and get into it a bit more. I did enjoy it. And yeah, once again, good one to start off with and good visuals. So that's my huge takeaway, and wanting you to go, okay, what's the next one going to be like? And then obviously when you see episode 2, it's so totally different. You go,
yeah.
What the hell? What's going on here? And I think
right
I like
about
that, knowing that there's different styles. Yeah.
No, that I think you hit that on the nose right there, Michael, was you get done with the duel and then you go to Tatooine Rhapsody and you're going, did I take something of a pill or something between these 2 episodes here? Dave, how about you on the duel?
I loved it. I love the animation in it. I don't even know how an artist can put together what they did with that. Highlights of it, I love the lightsaber umbrella, mainly for the fact that I saw the trailer for it, and when I saw them spinning that lightsaber umbrella, I'm just like, come on. And then the fact that it was an attachment that she pulled off of her lightsaber, I'm like, okay, I can live with that. She probably has some type of mirror system in there that lets her deflect everything with that. But my favorite part was when obviously it was the waterfall scene. When she dropped down and grabbed that log and sent it into the waterfall and jumped in there, I was like, and then he gets her. It was intense. It really was.
Yeah, I loved it. The waterfall scene, you're right, was just a great scene and well done. To take basically a black and white animation, have color sporadically in it, and split a waterfall like that. Wow, that one caught me right from the beginning. Go ahead, Dave.
I got to agree with Nick too. I caught major Tarantino vibes. Like it was definitely like Kill Bill style, which Lucy Liu played.
That's right.
The Sith.
So yeah, I like. So my question would be, to not talk too long, is what is he then if he's not a Jedi? Because he had all those crystals in his robe. So is he just kind of like a Sith hunter who maybe, like, what was he?
That's a good question. I'm going to throw this out there before we let Alfie go on to the duel, but could it be like the Dexter show from Showtime, where he was a serial killer of serial killers? I mean, that's the vibe I got. Like he's gone bad enough to where he's not allowing himself to be a Jedi, but he knows he still has that power, and his only way to really use it in any kind of good way at all is to just use it in a bad way against bad people. I don't know. I mean, that's just my thought on there. But Alfie, how about you on the duel?
I agree with the Tarantino vibes, but I also got a real Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of, the standoff. Yeah, the is he good, is he bad? Yeah, it's a gray area, but spends his life hunting down others, especially Sith. I mean, it was the perfect kind of setting to start this series off with. And I really like the robot with the bamboo kind of hat thingy. I don't know. It seemed like he was really well versed in getting this guy out of trouble or backing him up. So I think there's probably a lot of stories that they've been through.
I think a Ronin and his droid character would make an awesome two-pack right there, wouldn't it? I mean, he's a cool looking character, and that droid. I mean, come on, we don't have any other droids that have bamboo on their heads, right? So that would make a great looking action figure right there. Speaking of action figures, because we've gone through the visions here and everything like that, but if for those watching on YouTube, Michael has got an entire wall behind him of carded, in the case, in the bubbles, Star Wars figures. It's well done, sir. Yeah, it's well done. And
it is glorious.
Oh my gosh, it just keeps going.
Yeah, he's going panoramic here on us. So you know what? Here's what I'll do, because I know we're going to finish up here and just behind the scenes secrets. We're going to go record some things with the Zabologist here in a moment. But before we close up shop here on our show, I'll just take it around the horn here. One, I'll start and say, Visions to me, 7 out of 9 of them. I'm like, hey, let's keep this going. What's the next episode of this? I don't care if it's 15 minutes long. That's perfectly enough. It just gives you that little dip your toe in the water, get a little fun story that, and then you can say, hey, it was fun. It was Star Wars. And I don't have to go so deep into it that is it canon? Where does it fall? All that stuff. It was just entertaining. It was fresh. It was new. And it's something I hope that they maybe once a year come out with, hey, here's our new batch of Visions. And they can be different storylines, or they can be that next 15 minutes of the story that they started here. So that's the way I'm going to look at it. 2 thumbs up for me. Like I said, the 2 that didn't 100% hit, probably number 8 of my rankings, the twins, number 9, Akakiri. Just, but they were still nice, just weren't my favorite. So I'll start around the room here and finish this up here with any closing thoughts on Star Wars or Visions in general. Alfie, how about you hitting us with any closing thoughts here?
I really liked this series, and it just came out at the right time because it really reminded me of this. But, everyone here is probably familiar with Metallica, right? Okay, the Black Album just hit its 30th anniversary, and they put out a album with 52 other artists that covered the Black Album.
Wow.
So for like 2 weeks, I've been listening to, all these songs done by these other bands, and it was just really comparable to this because it's people that love that. It said, hey, we're not the same, but I'm going to put my own twist, my own background, what I'm into, but still pay respect to the material. And to me, these 2 things came out at the same time. I could really see a correlation between the 2. This was a series done by people that really loved Star Wars and incorporated their culture into it.
You got it. I agree. Dave, how about you? Any closing thoughts for the episode?
Basically what Alfie just said. I enjoyed just to see, I love, I relate it to Mandalorian. I love seeing different directors get their hands on Star Wars and see what they can do with it. And I feel like there's so many talented directors out there that have a passion for it. And when you see the stories they tell with it, it's exciting because that this product can go so much further because there's so many new ideas. And I'm just excited for it. And another one I wanted to talk about is I built the Razor Crest before the episode tonight. I got the Bondi kit, and I was sitting here right before the episode, and I'm like, there's like 45 minutes here. I'm like, I think I could put this thing together in that amount of time. So
that is so cool.
This thing is awesome. I love it. For $13, Target.
Man, I tell you what, you are a
I know we're
hands-on
not
guy.
sponsored.
I went
Not
Target.
yet.
Yeah. Target, go ahead and send us all the exclusives, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about you every episode.
Give us
Fine.
backstage passes for the Black Series figures that you hide in the storage rooms.
Yeah.
All right. That's
that
my
your,
closing statement.
that your workers are selling on their own before they ever get to the shelf.
Yes.
Nick, how about you? Closing thoughts for the episode?
This was one of the shows that I was very excited about when they unleashed, or when they like announced the 10 different shows that were coming out. And to me, it paid off. I felt like I know it's good personally if it keeps me wanting more. And there were about 4 or 5 times throughout this that I watched it that I went, gosh, I want to see what happens next. Like, or I started in my mind, like I'm watching the duel and I'm writing the story in my mind of like, what's the backstory on why this guy, like, and I could feel myself like interested and sucked in. And even on the ones that weren't, our favorites, I agree. It's fun to watch people's different take on something and you go like, oh, this is how you would interpret it and you see it. And I just think that's the beauty of Star Wars, right? You look like, I honestly, I was shocked when this came out that it wasn't in Japanese. I thought for sure, just from the trailer that I saw, that it was going to be in Japanese, like dubbed with subtitles.
Huh?
And because it was, hey, we're taking something that we love and we're adapting it into this. And so it was a surprise to see it in English. But I think, again, it just shows you the Star Wars is on the rise, y'all. Like, really, like when you look at the list of people that they got in to come do voice acting, like to get Tamora Morrison to come back, like, I'm just saying, like, there's enough traction still rolling on this thing that I get very excited about the future of Star Wars. So that's where I'm at.
Zabologist, I'll let you close up shop here with everybody. Any closing thoughts on this episode and Visions in general, or anything like that before we shut down episode 101 of Rule the Galaxy?
Sure. Well, just to shut down, wrap it up for the Visions. Number one, like Alfie was saying, Metallica. So 30th anniversary. We're getting into the 45th anniversary soon of Star Wars, and you got that original vibe. Metallica. I've heard that as well, and The Hue, many other bands, many completely different styles of certain songs I loved off that album that I still love. And I mean, that was an ever evolving thing. Then they go into load, reload, experiment, and so forth, And there's some things that I absolutely love, other people don't, but I love that bravery of experimentation. So I just love the number one, more experimentation. We've done the Rebels, we've done the Clone Wars, we've done the sequel trilogy now. We've done Star Wars story movies, The Mandalorian, the first thing now coming with the Book of Boba Fett. So it's, for me, fantastic. Bring it on, bring more, whether it's once a year, do some part 2s to some of them if they think that's good enough. If not, totally something different and new. As I said, there was 2 that really stuck out for me, those episodes that I loved. And even saying that, the first episode, I said, yeah, actually, I want to go back and watch that again because I think that needs another watch. And I think the last one, the Ocho and
Lapinocho,
yeah. That, and I think, so that's enough for me. I don't need to like all 9 of them or 50% of them or anything. So I reckon that's just fantastic that they've done it. And I'm looking forward to them doing more. Yeah. Oh, and like your Razor Crest, David. Oh, I don't know, for Reach, we've got some Mandalorian figures out of the packet. So everything you see on there is out of the packet, and a little Mandalorian tin. Just thought I'd add that because anyway. Okay.
Hey, for those visual, we're just getting all kinds of extra bonuses here on the show tonight. So when you watch YouTube, you'll be able to see all the good graphics they're bringing up here. So again, behind the scenes, I'll let you know, we're going to finish up here. We're going to then go record for a little bit with the Zabologist on his show. But I want to thank everybody who's part of the show tonight. Nick, Alfie, Dave, Michael, thank you so much for being a part of episode 101. We passed that 100th episode. Things are going very well. We're really enjoying it. We thank everyone who's listening and watching on YouTube, on their podcast of choice. And we're going to do our best to keep having more guests, do some bigger and better things as we move to episode 200, and do some more live shows hopefully in the near future. So we're excited about that. But as we sign off here today, I want to say thanks. Follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter, rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com, Rule the Galaxy on Facebook and on YouTube. And until next week, May the force be with you.